I'm Tim, and this is Paws on Point. Enjoy the episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment after.
Hey, you okay?
What if something as simple as a sunflower could change the way the world treats you when you're having your worst day? My guest today is Clare Kumar, the Canadian director of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Scheme. And she's on a mission to make sure that anyone living with a hidden disability, whether that's POTS, EDS, PTSD, autism, or anything else you can't see from the outside, never has to feel that vulnerability when they're at places like the airport. This conversation is a great conversation, and you're going to love it. So stay with us, and I hope you enjoy it. All right. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
I'm delighted, Tim.
So I think a good place to start would be for those listeners that don't know what the Sunflower Scheme is, maybe just explaining what it is from your point of view. I have my point of view, but I think it's important to come from you. What is the Sunflower Scheme all about?
I boil it down into looking at the sunflower as the cue for compassion that our world needs because our brains work to be efficient. We use bias, and bias can lead us in all kinds of wrong assumptions. And so the sunflower is that symbol, easy, recognizable, positive, colorful, bright symbol that you can glance at and recognize immediately there might be more going on here. Somebody might need patience, kindness, assistance, and it unlocks a whole different trajectory because of that.
That's so cool. Where did the idea come from?
So we have to thank Gatwick Airport in 2016 because Gatwick recognized this is the airport in London, England, one of them. And Gatwick Airport recognized, gosh, we have travelers coming through the airport and we know people need assistance, but we don't know who needs assistance when there's a non-visible, non-apparent hidden condition. And so there was a small group of people working with Gatwick already. And the question was, what can we do to make the invisible visible? And with this small group of people, the sunflower symbol was identified and chosen and became a way of letting people voluntarily show that there was a non-visible, non-parent challenge. And it basically took off from there. It spread through airports. Now we're coming near to 350 airports in the world. And it's moved far beyond airports now. Any sector that you think about, whether it's municipal, healthcare, retail, banking, any manufacturing, any kind of sector where there are people, you'll find the sunflower.
If this podcast matters to you, please support the mission behind it. Head to pawsabilitiesservicedogs.ca and donate today. Every dollar funds a life-changing service dog partnership for someone who needs it most. I love the fact that it's spread. Airport, that'd be great anyway, but to sweep out and be accepted in different areas of everyday life where people with invisible illnesses function.
Yeah, it's to make life, work, and play more accessible so that everyone can participate. And that's a personal motivation of mine as well. The ability to align and become the director in Canada for the program was really fulfilling an extension of what I already wanted to do. And to join with the Sunflower program has, in the past couple of years, I've been with the program over 2 years now. It's put me in touch with people who care about people. And in turbulent times where sometimes we feel like compassion's falling off the radar, I am firmly seeing evidence of it every day, of good-heartedness, of kindness, of organizations coming behind, not just ticking the box on accessibility plans and initiatives, but saying, we want to go a step further. And the sunflower is a really beautiful tool. One day, I hope we don't need it. We evolve, but knowing that bias, so I've been a productivity coach for 20 years and dealt with efficiency and effectiveness in how we get things done. And bias is a tool our brain uses to make quick sense of the world and make decisions. Now, if you have an employee trying to do that, under time constraints. And you can imagine the airport environment in particular. You got to get to the gate by a certain time. Sometimes the gate moves on you. There are busy places. There's a lot that can go sideways. You've got passengers under stress. You've got staff sometimes under stress. And I think that's when bias can really lead us astray. We make some quick assumptions and maybe the wrong ones. And so that's where the sunflower can really unlock grounding back in compassion, grounding back in creativity, and moving forward to co-create a better outcome.
Quick pause. If this podcast means something to you, following us is the single best thing you can do to keep it going. Every follow helps more people find us, and more people finding us means more change for the service dog community. So hit that follow button now, and let's keep going. Yeah, and I think in those situations, you described it beautifully. Your thinking becomes very primitive, very self-preservation. You're very like, I've got to get to that gate, and nothing in the world matters apart from getting to that
Getting to the
gate.
gate. Yeah. And if we think about employees, they could be under pressure. Imagine a flight's been delayed and there's a lot of issues, but it's also the autopilot moment when
Mm,
things are just roped and you're bored. Your body doesn't have your mind doesn't have enough stimulation to actually have you lean in and be your most creative, compassionate self. So it's the under pressure and it's also the boredom. And so both of those situations benefit from that reminder that, hey, there could be we might need a different approach than first came to mind.
yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that there was a group of people already working on this in Gatwick. That's a very big airport. It's a very busy airport. So that
Mm.
moment you're talking about, the stress is going to be high there anyway, no matter
Yeah.
what's implemented. So
Yeah.
to be taking that on in that environment as a even as a pilot scheme, that's big. That's a
Yeah.
big ask.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now extending to events. We have the FIFA Fan Festival in Vancouver, which is underway hot and heavy right now. And it's amazing there to know that people can go and they've got a sunflower wristband on offer, a fabric wristband that's created. The lanyard is the most common item, I think, that people would be familiar with the program, but accessibility is all about options. And so you can find pins and stickers and silicone wristbands. But in this case, we chose fabric wristbands. You can tie them to a bag. We really encourage people to make it their own. We have teddy bears too, and kids and adults alike could choose to have the bear along. So options are awesome, and events are one of those other stressful places where there's a lot going on, and you probably bought a ticket to something you really want to see. So there's some time pressure, and there's crowds. There are a lot of challenges with events too. So I'm really happy to see convention centers in Canada come on board and events. And there's so many in the pipeline. One thing we're careful about with the sunflower is not divulging an organization who's working on launching. Because the last thing I want to do is say, oh, is getting ready for the sunflower. We don't want people showing up and not being cared for. So
Yeah.
we're really thoughtful in rolling that out and careful so that people are seen and considered.
Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this conversation, do me a favor and hit follow. Wherever you're listening right now, hit that follow button. It takes 2 seconds. It means you're never going to miss an episode. And it genuinely helps us grow. Right, back to it. Yeah, no, that stands for what the Sunflower Scheme's all about, really. So if there was one place, and this is probably going to be a bit of an unfair question, one place you would like to see the scheme actually being held up and ran, where would that place be? Well, what would be your target area where you're like, that is where it's needed?
That's so tough. But I I think the more it's embedded in daily shopping experiences, then
Mm,
there's a reminder. But as more shopping moves online, there's less of the challenge, but there's still so much daily interaction. I went yesterday to get groceries, for example. I have a grocery store downstairs, and they've cut the regular counter staff down where you could have a checkout counter and a
yeah, yeah,
cart,
yeah.
and you know how to do it, and there's space for everything. And they had self checkout, and I tend to avoid self checkout, not only because I broke a machine once because I put money in the wrong slot. So it's that. And I got stink eye from the staff too. So I'm a little bit afraid of those machines. I'm like, where does it all go? And I had about $50 worth of items, or 25 pounds, maybe, if we're talking pounds or euros. And they wanted me in this tiny space. I actually took a picture of it because I thought, you want me to put $50 worth of groceries? Now, it's not as many groceries as you might want it to be these days because of prices, but I said, this is silly. I should be being served over there on that perfectly good belt. She's on break. I said, this is not good customer service.
She's
This is
on
not good.
break.
She's on break.
Wow.
Yeah. Couldn't you be over there? No, because staff is now machine guiding the usage of a machine that's not intuitive and talking at you the whole time and trying to work in a confined space. And they're playing security at the same time. So because those self checkouts, if you're not watching, who knows what people are walking out with. So we've turned customer service into security and we removed the joy of the interaction. Now, I know not everybody wants to have a conversation with the clerk, but can sometimes be the highlight of my day as someone who works from home. And I'm like, how are you? Let's get right into the conversation and feel part of community and build relationship. And that's what anchors someone into wanting to come back to a store. It's not because you fed the coin into the wrong slot and broke it.
And to be fair, that is what the sunflower scheme, in a way, it does encourage that because I think it's important for listeners to not classify it as, oh, it's a way of highlighting I have an illness. Do
Mhm.
you see what I mean? It forces the interaction in a way. Do you see
It
what I mean?
invites
Like,
it.
yeah,
I think it invites it.
it's
What
just the
I've
wrong wording.
noticed, no, there's no wrong. But I think what I've noticed as a wearer in different situations where I have felt either anticipating stress or in some cases completely befuddled, written, might have had it tattooed on my forehead. It's invited people to reach out and say, can I help? And I've seen a softening of the expression, for example, going through an airport security line. I've seen that flash of recognition on staff's face that said, I see the lanyard, I see the symbol. And there's a demeanor shift. And I pick it up right away. And that tells me, my nervous system, oh, you can relax here.
This episode is supported by Trupanion, pet health insurance that's been protecting cats and dogs for over 25 years. Unlike many insurers, Trupanion offers unlimited coverage with no annual caps and direct payment to your vet, so you never have to find thousands of dollars in an emergency. They even offer a discount specifically for service dog handlers. If your dog's health matters, and I know it does, head to Trupanion.com to find out more. A huge thanks also to Helmcken Veterinary Clinic, a fantastic local team here in Victoria, BC, who genuinely care about the animals they treat and the people who love them. Knowledgeable, friendly, and always there when you need them. Find them at helmckenvets.ca.
And that to me, whether I needed it in the moment or not, that's the ground level assistance. Then you get a story like my mom, who recently flew through Victoria Airport. And she said, Claire, that lanyard, wow, it made a difference. I saw people, I had a metal cane, and the people with the security said, would you like a wooden cane to go through the security? Because the metal one will set off all the alarms. And she felt really attended to with a depth of care. So props to Victoria Airport for looking after their customers and passengers so well. But she attributed it to that recognition of the lanyard. She sensed that in that interaction. So I think there is great power in this, what we've intended to be a subtle symbol that's what looks beautiful. If you know what it means, then you can interpret and you can use your intuition in the situation to say, oh, does this person look like they need help? I can step in and offer help.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And big shout out to Victoria Airport. I know we had a positive experience there as well. My wife was wearing the lanyard, and yeah, we were in the security line, and then out of nowhere, someone turned up and was like, "Oh, would you like to come this way with us? We can do this. We can take your bag. Do you need water? Do you need this? Do you need?"
Yeah.
And it's just like, "Oh, what's
Yeah.
happening?"
Yeah.
But
A
it was
completely
great. It was
different feel.
great.
But I think one of the things that was important, there's two things about the sunflower program that are important. One is that it's, of course, completely voluntary for someone to wear in the situations where they feel like it's going to be helpful. There are situations where you might choose and say, it makes me feel vulnerable. I don't want to wear it here. I don't feel safe. And my example is that at an outdoor bank machine, for example. Maybe that's not a place you want to say, watch me, I'm vulnerable, because you don't know you have the
No,
support there.
absolutely.
Right? So that's one thing that's important. The other is that we are very clear that it does not guarantee you a specific kind of treatment. It's up to all of our members to discern. We say basically it's that cue that somebody might need assistance. And then every organization responds in a way they choose that they would like to, so that we don't create jump the queue situations. Really careful to try and have it be each organization responding to the individual, eliminating barriers as much as possible, building cultures that are really thinking and to anticipate what challenges might be so there are fewer barriers out there.
Yeah, and to me, it empowers people. It
Yes.
empowers people to
Yeah.
come forward and go, you know what I mean? And whereas
Yes.
normally they'd be like, they may feel that they're a hindrance or that they're a problem, but having a
Yeah.
lanyard becomes almost like a safety blanket in that feeling
Yeah.
of I can come forward
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
say, hey, can I have help? And so I think that's cool. I think
Yeah.
something so simple and something so beautiful as a sunflower has such a big meaning to it in that sense. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's not a big neon sign flashing above someone. It's not someone walking with a flag next to them. It's
Yeah, it's as subtle as you wanna make it. So,
yeah,
I have bag tags on my purse, for example. I have if I'm going through the airport because I'm front forward facing, and that's usually how you would be seen. We have bus drivers wearing wristbands because they're perpendicular to the people boarding the bus.
very smart.
So, we once you've seen the sunflower and understand what it means, you know forever.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so we're also really careful about making sure that the brand is really taken care of and that our members do a good job of really respecting that, because we want it's all done so that the sunflower wearer has the smoothest experience possible. And so we don't want a bunch of different sunflowers out there and people wondering, is this the sunflower? Is this something different? We really want that consistent symbol. It's so powerfully and well done. Uruguay and Brazil have actually made it into law to recognize the sunflower symbol as a symbol of non-visible disability in their countries, which is incredibly powerful. And the word you used, empowerment, is really what it's about.
yeah. Wow, that's making that law. That's a big leap. Fair play. Kudos to them. That's a huge leap.
Isn't it? Yeah, I think
And I think
so.
that's something many countries could potentially learn from.
I think it speaks to the need and the
Yeah.
opportunity. And that's why I connected to my productivity work and the prevalence of bias. It's always going to be there, no matter how elevated our culture is. There are going to be moments when bias kicks in and leads us. And it varies so much by culture. I remember being in Thailand many years ago on the bus, and I was watching people traveling together. And if anybody had a bag, the person sitting down would offer to take that bag and hold it on their lap. And I just looked at that and went, that's a culture of care for each other. We don't have that here. You have the people with the backpack on and they're turning around and bashing everybody. And the occasional person will put the backpack on the front and wear it that way. So they're more in control of the weapon, if you will. So you look at different cultures and opportunity, but even in a place like Thailand, where it's very much care for each other, as we get busier, as city towers go up and there's more anonymity, we need these cues to remind us to be, "Oh, there's something more potentially here to pay attention to."
Yeah. And I think even just having the sunflower as a small symbol, as a small sticker symbol just on the wall somewhere, just so someone can clock it. Do you know what I mean? And just be like,
Yeah.
oh. But
Yeah.
that kind of leads me into your map that you have of members.
Yeah.
I can see the use for that on quite a large scale. If someone wants to go to an event and then start thinking about the sunflower, they can look and just see where the members are, and if the event itself is a member, and then be like, "Oh, great, cool, I've
Yeah.
got the line or whatever." So
That's
it, yeah,
right. That's
I think
right.
yeah, I think people finding that map is a good thing. I think it's a good tool. For them, you know what I
I
mean?
think it is. It is. And now Canada's a big place. So you don't get
It,
the whole map on one screen generally, but you can put in the distance, you can put in a city location or a postal code and a distance, and it will pull up all the locations for you. And so that's an easy way. But I've been toying with an idea to actually have a map of the airports, for example. So you can say, oh, I want to go from Moncton to Victoria. Where do I want to stop? Which airport is going to recognize the sunflower? And we know in Europe and the UK, people plan their destinations based on the sunflower being present. So I'm very much looking forward to building the Canadian map with more and more sunflowers on it so that people can plan their activities. I know we have a couple of regions right now that have municipalities, and then the second level up collection of municipalities in a region. They're have joined the sunflower and looking at making the whole region sunflower friendly. Now, municipalities have a lot of different places. There's the libraries, the community center, the police, the fire, the service, customer service. And so I'm really excited to be on the journey with some of our regional members to grow the sunflower within their regions, area by area, so that people
Yeah.
know in Durham Region Transit, for example, they can get on the bus, they can call Service 311, and they know that they'll be cared for. There's sunflowers recognized there. And then there are other municipalities and other areas that we're working on to grow. So that feeling of empowerment is really pervasive. And you can say you're looking for a place to move. I can go there. I'm going to feel like I belong here.
Looking at the map, and especially if you see a cluster of members in a particular area, like you said, and you're moving there,
Yeah.
immediately, just that alone
Yeah.
could be enough for someone to go, "It's safe. I'm gonna be
That's
all
right.
right." Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And I think that's brilliant. I think that,
Yeah.
that just from looking at a pin on a map, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah. Absolutely. And what we ask our members to do, and Mississauga Transit or My Way did a great job of this on their map page. They put a lot of information in there so you can just click on the map and then you'll see, where do I get a lanyard? What's the accessibility like at this location? And of course, links back to the member website itself.
mm,
But they did a phenomenal job. A little shout out to My Way for I always say, members, have a look at that page. It was really well done. And we invite them to do something similar and make it theirs and just spread that good news.
it's sad, but it's not, if that makes sense, that this scheme exists, but people don't know about it. Do you know what I mean? There are people that don't know, and you're just like, oh no. Like,
Yeah. And to that point, I personally think as someone who's worked in marketing for a long time, the brand is so well done and professionally done, and really the graphic work is amazing that people think it's everywhere. Once they see it, they're like, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And it's okay. We're a building. So there's a couple of things that people could do to help spread the word, because I think you're right. It's really getting the word out. We have an amazing page on our website for raising awareness. It's called Raise Awareness, and I can pop a link over to you. But it's got resources there that are free for an individual to put an email signature with a little banner, for example, or download a poster and put it up at the library. Or there's some
yeah,
free resources there. But really, what's in there too is information that someone could say, you know what, I'd like my bank to have the sunflower, and they can give some information to the bank. And I'll tell you, as the person having these conversations around the country, members tell me, gosh, I heard it from a customer, and then I heard it from an employee, and then I was traveling and I saw the sunflower. And we talk about in marketing, we talk about 7 impressions to really stick. Each individual can reach out to organizations where they would like to feel like everybody understands the sunflower. And I'm here to have conversations with all those organizations and help those sunflowers bloom.
people aren't aware of the sunflower scheme, but then that kind of applies to businesses and organizations as well. They may know nothing about it.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. It's spreading a lot, I think, through a lot of the disability awareness groups in organizations and accessibility. And then, of course, in Canada, because we have such recognition around the need for accessibility, with Stephanie Cadieux, our Chief Accessibility Officer, leading some amazing initiatives. I'm really excited to be in conversation with Stephanie shortly around the built environment and some of the opportunities we have. That my whole mission under Happy Space, my podcast and neuro inclusion design work, is all about creating safer containers. So you can see how closely this work is aligned, right?
Yeah,
It's like
right.
we need the design work to make the container safer, and we need the culture work to have the people understand how to be that safe place as well. So that's
And
coming together.
I'd say that this is where, and I know you understand this from a marketing point of view. Like I say, people aren't aware of the sunflower scheme, or the majority, but I do wonder they've seen the sunflower. but the brain hasn't acknowledged it because they don't know what it is. Do you see what I mean? So it
Possibly,
exists.
possibly,
And it's
possibly.
only
Yeah.
when someone either listens to this podcast, suddenly the dots join up and they go, that's what the sunflower is.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true. We live in a pretty noisy world. So nobody's looking for something else they need to understand. So this your podcast is doing great things by spreading awareness of so much. And I'm thrilled to help make a few more people aware of what the sunflower is and urge that action to say, let's make more people aware. Right.
yeah, no,
So
absolutely. We're
yeah.
up for it. We're going to
Yeah.
be, we're signing up and yeah, we're going to be promoting it. So that's definitely what we're going to be doing. But yeah, it's like you don't realize there's this many red cars until you buy a red car yourself. And suddenly you're like, whoa,
That's right.
where did all
That's
these
right.
red cars come from? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's the case. We had Via Rail launch in June, which was really exciting for me to have this transportation medium on the ground all the way across the country, almost all the way across the country, and bringing people a more accessible journey for those with non-apparent challenges. And so having Via part of it and other transit organizations, I think what I love about transit in particular is you're sitting on a bus. If you're sitting in Hamilton or you're sitting in Durham region, you would have seen wrapped buses potentially drive by, but you might be sitting on that bus not knowing what the sunflower is and then having a chance to really take in some of the signage that our members have put forward and then start connecting those dots. So maybe people are at one, two, four, five impressions and you know what, this one is going to be the one that they, oh my goodness, now I know what that is.
And I've done that. I've been on the same bus over the same
Yes.
period of time, and then there's this one time where there is a delay, and like you said, you sit there and you look up and whatever, and you look
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, I never knew that existed. How come I didn't know? How long's that been there?"
Yeah. And so forgiveness, Canadians, don't feel bad if you don't know. We've been in Canada since 2019, 2020. And of course, with the pandemic, travel and everything shut down for a while. So we came into Canada and then slowed down. And then since I've been involved, I first learned about the sunflower in about 2022, I think, because of my own personal interest. I have MS and I was always worried, Tim, that I would be driving my car, pulled over by a police officer, asked to do the walk test, and maybe not pulling that walk test off like an able-bodied person, more like an intoxicated person. And I thought that's probably not going to go well. And I thought, I want something that the police officer understands and recognizes. So I have had one conversation with the police force and with armed forces. I've had so many conversations, but I'm really looking at some of these organizations coming on board because those are the places. Boy, did the stress level go up if the police pull you over.
Yeah, no,
Even if you've done nothing wrong, my goodness.
absolutely. Yeah, it comes back to airports, doesn't it? You're completely innocent. You go on high alert. You're thinking, do I look suspicious? And then from thinking, do I look suspicious? You start to behave suspicious, which is weird. It's a very strange phenomenon.
Let me not be awkward, but I'm now incredibly awkward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you start to highlight yourself because you're worried about being highlighted. So you make
Yeah.
yourself highlighted. It's a very strange phenomenon.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so many places where we can be under stress. Whether it's the situation itself, it's dollars are involved, time is involved, or the sensory overload of the environment is involved. All of it's so many contributing factors to put somebody in a position of that high vigilance and almost self-defense in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, many of the invisible illnesses are sparked by stress. They can
Yeah.
flare
Yeah.
because of stress. They
That's
can,
right.
to think that the sunflower really reduces that before it's even happened.
This is it, Tim. One of the things that we're working on is getting some measurement around experience. And of course, we first think of customer experience and that smoother journey. But I'm also very interested in the employee experience because imagine if your day goes smoothly as an employee, you know, your customers are all keeping calm and carrying on. And your day was, wow, we didn't have an incident. We didn't have a meltdown. We didn't have a shutdown. We didn't have an angry, irritated client. We didn't have yeah, the amount of calm and what that can do when we start looking at the culture and the environment is really amazing.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see the figures, the facts around that. And I think it would be an eye opener because I think something like the sunflower scheme actually spreads further and wider, and there's an unawareness of how deep it travels. Do you see what I mean? And it's like
Mm.
it's focused on this. We're looking at this. Its
Oh,
undercurrent runs out further.
the ripple effect
Yeah,
from that
absolutely. The
undercurrent,
ripple.
call it your water analogy. Yeah, it spreads. You're absolutely right. Because if we think about removing a barrier, it's not just a barrier for that person, it's a barrier for the friends that were going to travel with that person. It extends out into what they're able to participate in and how many beautiful things came out of that impact. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It's exponential in its impact.
If we want to get really deep into it, the sunflower is doing what it does naturally and populates itself. So it does the seeds, it drops the seeds grow, and
Mm.
so it goes all by itself.
Was pretty good choice of a symbol, I would say.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you can go wrong with that one, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love it. And I'm someone who likes boldness and confidence, and I think the sunflower represents that too.
Like, it's tall, it's proud,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful, it holds its
Yeah. We
own.
didn't choose the forget me not, which is a gorgeous little flower, but we didn't choose the forget me not.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I can see how that one, as good as that would be, I can see how difficult
Yeah.
marketing point of view that could be.
Yeah.
Going back to the map, people can find out
Yeah.
where members are, where they can get their lanyards and things like that. Your website has also the membership attached to it as well, so people can apply to be a member as an organization.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And yeah, there's different plans for it depending on the size of the organization. And it relates to the level of support that you would need to do an effective launch. So we have something called the corporate membership. So that gives you all the brand assets and support to get announcements up in social media and access to training and learning management system files and all the things that a small operation would not need necessarily. Everybody can access, though. There's some beautiful things that everyone can access. And the Invisible Disabilities Index is one of those. If anybody listening is, I'm not an organization, I'm just curious, have a look there because we have the Invisible Disabilities Index, which goes through different conditions in a consistent format. So it's easy to parse the information. And it talks about what someone might experience if they're living with an illness. And it talks about barriers that they might face. What we do a little extra special for corporate members is we then go a little more deeply into what workplace considerations or accommodations might be for someone with that challenge. And there's a lot there. There's also, we have a podcast too called Sunflower Conversations. And there's a lot of conversations with people with lived experience there as well. And we just opened up to all of our members. We have monthly themed webinars now deep diving into individual conditions. So I think this month right now is brain injury. We've looked at leprosy, we've looked at ostomy, we've looked at lots of different ones, and every month we're adding another one and making that content available to our members as well.
That's awesome. That's a very valuable resource for any organization, to be fair. And
Yeah.
it's a HR dream.
I think so. As somebody in charge of growing the program here in Canada, I thought, I love that our marketing team has thought through ways for an organization to keep the message relevant and top of mind, not by saying, we're part of the sunflower program, don't forget it. It's no, actually, just the sunflower symbol is there. And once you know it, but you see it along with such rich learning. So it's building understanding. I learn something every week. Every week, there's some conversation, some barrier that I never thought about, and in the 2 years, I completely think differently now than when I started working with the sunflower.
Paws on Point is brought to you by Plausibilities Service Dog Society, a Canadian non-profit funding life-changing service dog partnerships for people who couldn't otherwise afford them. If today's episode has moved you, head to plausibilitiesservicedogs.ca and make a donation. Every single dollar goes directly to training and care, nothing else. There's no reason why it can't, but does the sunflower reach into schools as well?
Yeah, I think in the UK, I think it may be 800 institutions that we already are present in. I'm working on a few conversations here in Canada as well. I've had several student unions reach out to me because it's that there's this sense and awareness, especially with neurodivergency and education. And so the challenge with student unions is they're short term and the staff changes. So I think it's really important that I build relationships with the institutions themselves. And now the tough thing I know in Canada is that budgets, and I think in institutions anywhere, budgets are really under challenge and dollars are really almost everywhere. They're really under pressure. I think that there's a couple of things that are wonderful from a business decision perspective, being part of the program. Number one, your customers can have a smoother experience. We talked about that. Employees can have a smoother experience serving customers, but employees feel considered and safer at work when you have this. And so we have a healthcare institution in the UK that implemented the sunflower, and they saw an increase of 25% in terms of disclosure of barriers and those needs and that are very real for people. So it got the conversation on the table because psychological safety went up.
Yeah.
And so there are some real business benefits. If you're looking to invite the best of your people, you want that psychological safety. You want the sunflower to help you unlock that.
I do hope that from listening from this, that people will go to your podcast, both your podcasts, that they sign up, that they go to the map and they're like, wow, look at this. And if the listeners are not sure, I strongly urge them to go and do exactly that and do some reading about sunflower and explore it and go for it because it's there to help, it's there to assist, it's there to empower. Use it.
Yeah, and you know what? If anybody wants to listen to Paul White, who's our CEO, talk a little bit about the evolution of the sunflower and a little more depth around that, episode 54 on happy space, I had a really lovely chat with Paul, and we talked about the just totally different than this conversation, actually. So it's a really lovely compliment, I think, to this. If anybody wants to dig a little deeper and hear from Paul, who was he did not anticipate this is where that project at Gatwick would have come.
That's the beauty of a great idea, is it far exceeding what its original thought was.
Yeah,
When you
and
can pick
pulling
itself up and run and spread the way it is by itself to a certain degree, that's when you know you're on a win.
isn't it? Yeah, that's right. And I think I've worked for a long time now and been part of all kinds of organizations. And I remain delighted to be part of the sunflower for its mission and what it does, but also how innovative it is and how committed to really thinking. So one example is we have what's called the Sunflower Extra card. So I don't know if you've seen the cards. We have the lanyard and you can attach a plastic card to it, which has the sunflower on the front, and on the back, you can write down what your needs might be. One of mine is logic, which usually gets a laugh. But we also have cards that people can personalize. So you might say, I'm autistic or I have dementia. You might want to disclose to that level. The Sunflower Extra card, though, is an NFC, so near field communication card. You can tap that on a phone and it will pull up a page of information about what your needs are. It could be your phone, it could be somebody else's phone, and it only shows that page temporarily, so you don't have to worry about data transfer and privacy. That will communicate for you. So you can imagine someone who's nonverbal, someone who might be hard of hearing. There are so many applications, someone with anxiety, social anxiety around conversations, someone who's just plain tired and doesn't want to say this one more time, but just please read this. And what I love about it is you can go out in the morning and have one set of instructions, and maybe you need something different in the afternoon. You can tweak it in real time and have that. So that's an example of the innovation that exists in the sunflower, and I'm really excited by that. Like to be creative myself, so I'm really proud of what the organization is doing and proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's something that we did with the service dog part, the with ability service dog training is we
Yeah,
for our clients, they have a card. So if they
yeah,
are out and they are shopping and
yeah,
you have the overly nice member of public, oh, so you have a service dog. Why do you have a service dog?
yeah.
Which is wrong. That should never be asked, but it does. We've made a card with a QR code on it, and so that they can give it to them, and it's scan this, you get all the information you need.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
It's like a get out of jail free card. That
Yeah.
socially awkward moment. Here's the card. See you later. Bye. I'm off.
Thoughtful
And
because somebody's curious and sometimes our questions don't come out the right way.
no,
But
and
yeah,
and I think some people, yeah, unfortunately, do. It does come out very wrong, and
yeah.
but yeah, no, I think it's really cool. So what's next for the sunflower scheme? What plans are you cooking away at?
In Canada, I'm really excited. I feel like we're in a place of momentum now, and I don't know if we're going up the hockey stick yet, but it's coming. And you know what? You're sensing, I sense people know they feel they deserve to be considered. And so any brand who's wanting to be accessible, thought of as an inclusive culture and organization, really the time is now before your customers are saying, hey, this you fell short. Now is the moment to jump on because you get actually the appreciation and the gratitude of
Yeah.
thank you for doing this. So it's a beautiful moment now. There's no wrong time to come on board, but I think in particular in Canada, that's happening. We're growing across the world, countries coming on board all the time now. And so I'm excited to see that spreading. I'd like to see, to your point, more like Brazil and Uruguay, but we're not advocating for any of that. That's happening with each country on their own to decide that. So that's what I'd like to see. The sunflower is really good at focusing on what we do and what we're here to do and really trying to get that as best as we can. So we like that people make the sunflower their own. We like that organizations decide how they're going to implement it in their particular instance. Where we notice opportunities to do better, we're always looking at that. So whenever there's suggestions, those ideas, they go. So for example, we had our card, and in Canada, of course, we're bilingual, French and English. And we had an English card and we wanted to make a bilingual card and it had so many words on it. I said, could we possibly move to icons instead of all these words? Because I was being told to write over top of this gray, light gray font, my needs and autistic, OCD, potentially. Don't want to do that. That's visually, it was asking me to compromise my values. I was like, no, this is very causing me stress. I can't write over top of this. With the English one, there were English words, and then I write beside in the space that was left. But if it was filled up, I thought, no, I can't look at that anymore. So we moved to icons very quickly. So little things. And I will say we're always learning and always trying to improve. And I think that's really important because members might feel like, oh, we're late in the game. We should have been doing this. No one should feel bad about where they are. Hold on to the intention to do better and let's learn together and let's do better together.
I think we should set a challenge. I know that this podcast reaches to quite a few countries at the moment, and
Yeah.
I think we should set a challenge and just let's set a challenge of let us see who could be the first in countries that aren't pulling the sunflower. Let's see who can be the first to go and sign up.
I'll be, yeah, organization by organization. It could be the
Yeah.
first. And what happened in Canada is my colleague looks after, we call it rest of world. And so we get, which is rather large. And so we get the inquiry and then we build and we see that, you know what, we need support here. We need support here. So I feel really privileged to be in conversation with I call them colleagues. They're my counterparts in different organizations all across the country, caring about other people. I've never felt such great joy and pride in my work as this.
Yeah, it's the power of one. Who wants to be the first? Who wants to be the first? The power of one. Let's set that challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
We've got
country on
room.
the globe, every country on the globe just
Yeah.
need that one.
The sunflower, I would love to see the brand recognition of Coca-Cola. Let's see the sunflower be universally understood.
Yeah, you'll get there.
I think so. I really think so.
Yeah, I think it's. I want to say gaining momentum, but that sounds like it was just stood still. I don't mean it in that way, but I think it is being recognised more and more and more. And I think
Yeah.
word of mouth is spreading. People are inquiring from the word of mouth, and they're learning, and so the process
It's
is
the
getting better.
stories. What's the story?
Mm,
I was delighted to join Deer Lake Regional Airport in Newfoundland for their launch at the beginning of June. And I reached out to CBC. I've done a lot of media over the years, so I reached out to CBC and they came and did a little segment and did television and did a radio segment. I think the story is so beautiful in terms of the impact that media wants to share the story too, which I was really delighted for. So yeah, I went out to be at the launch and then and tell the story a little bit too. And it to me, that's the beauty is when the stories come back. When
mm.
the stories about the impact come back and what people are able to do. So I'll just maybe share my personal belief around why participation in society is so important. I firmly believe every human deserves a fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
Too often, our environments and our culture design us out, and therefore we can't give. If you can't give, you can't receive. And so that reciprocity is broken. And so I love that the sunflower is the culture piece around accessibility and inclusion. And then the design piece that I'm working on now around a concept called neurological safety to keep the nervous system calm so people keep calm and carry on. That's what we want. We want all forms of accessibility structurally built in. And the sensory accessibility is hardly on the radar at all.
Do you think that's because people don't know? Do you think we're back to this don't know stage? They don't know that part of it, so
I
it
think,
doesn't go any
yeah,
further. Do you see what I mean?
I there's probably a lot to it, how society's been constructed and whose interests are being served, or some there's a whole book called Invisible Women about how women are not designed for. We know that crash test dummies didn't have females. We know if you sat in an airplane seat and you're not an average male height, you are not a comfortable person. So there's some basic we haven't designed, we've designed to the average all the way along, and nobody's average. Case in point, just a little bit of humor here. I have a very tiny head. I can wear children's hats, and I have mammoth-sized hands. I wear a large glove. My hands are as big almost as my boyfriend, who's 6'1". I'm 5'4". So I'm a perfect example of body parts that shouldn't go together. So we have that. We designed though for an average. I can't wear the average size glove or shoe or hat. So I think that the question you what was the come back to the question. I want to answer that the question that you just had. Do you think it's that people don't know? So
Yeah.
part of it is we're not designing for the breadth of experience. The other part is something called false consensus effect. We think, Tim, that the way we think ought to be the way someone else should think. So because I believe this should happen, Tim, you should believe that too. I talked to a Microsoft executive a long few years ago about working from home. And he said to me, I can see this work from home thing a little bit, but any real work that I do it in the office. And I said, thank you so much for sharing. I said, would you know that other people would have completely the opposite experience? And his jaw dropped, not considered. So especially when it comes to sensory experience, unless it bothers you, you may not notice at all. Think of pizza toppings. You only notice the toppings you don't want. If somebody slathers anchovies all over that pizza, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, what's the problem? Music taste, for example, you'll know the music genre that you may not want to listen to. And if somebody's blasting that, you have a sensory challenge. The challenge is, I think, in North American culture, we have a pervasive hustle culture and also a sense of value that more is better. And because more is better, we think louder is better. We think brighter is better. We think faster is better. And because of all those things, we think scented is better. Scented garbage bags, scented dryer sheets, scented clothing. We need to stop with the addition of sensory stimulation as the default, like no scent, no scent. We should have some defaults where we're not having added stimulation because just the general cacophony and level of stimulation is already incredibly significant. So, for example, tire noise on cars, right? Significant noise. Now we have EVs
Yeah.
wanting to add signature sounds back in, recorded sounds in the butt of a car through a speaker. Manufactured, synthesized noise. This is where we are in society. We have light that is causing all kinds of problems. I did a big Substack article, Happy Space Design on Substack, all around the negative effects of modern lighting. Because we don't understand Kelvin and the fact Kelvin is color temperature, right? So a traditional incandescent bulb was 2700 Kelvin. Daylight, which is very cold, bright, white, blue light, 6500 Kelvin. Oh, but 6500 is better than 2700. So I want the 5000 Kelvin light. Thank you very much. Even though it's suppressing my melatonin, dampening my mitochondrial function, and will cause pain in some people's eyes. But we
And I
don't
think
know.
that's where the whole negative, like focusing on the negative, is an
Mm.
instant dopamine rush. Do you see what I mean? It's
Mhm.
when you focus on the positive, the good stuff, it's a more sublime release of dopamine, so you don't feel it as much. Do you see what I
Mm.
mean? But you focus on the negative part, like you said, looking at the pizza top. If there's anchovies all over it, bang, that's it. You're on the warpath. The whole pizza's ruined. The world has come colliding around you.
Yeah, yeah. So do people it's do is it because we don't know? Yes. Is it because it's bad design? Yes. Is it because of implicit bias that is wired in, false consensus effect being one of them? Yes. So there are a number of hurdles to think about,
Yeah,
but I think design is one of our biggest opportunities of both the containers and the culture.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely right. I think it's design, like the sunflower, is peaceful, but it's strong. It's present, but it's not overpowering. Do you see what I mean?
It's not 50 sunflowers. And you know, gotta find the one. Yeah, yes,
It
yeah. Good
it
design will make you feel
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It makes you feel safe because a sunflower is not a negative, it's a positive, it's a happy thing. And that's been handed down throughout the years. So that comes back to what we were talking about earlier on about the sunflower was an excellent choice for this.
I think. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't there at the beginning, so full props to everyone who was involved, but I'm really happy to be part of it now.
I think it's gonna be around for a long time and I think it's gonna shift.
It already is. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's exciting to see how far it goes because when I became aware of the sunflower, I naively thought it was a Canadian thing. Until I looked into it and I was like, "Oh, this is big. This is big."
Yeah. And it comes from home.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like, "How did I not know about this?" Yeah,
Yeah. So we're somewhere on that curve. And so you're doing a beautiful thing here by sharing the message and spreading the sunflower. So thank you for that.
yeah, and then and like I said, like we knew about it, we've experienced it,
Yeah.
and it was like with the podcast, and it was like, "We gotta get you on it. We gotta get that sunflower out there to people who either don't know or
Yeah.
are unsure. We've gotta hit those people." Even if it just means, "Oh, I'm gonna have a look, see what the sunflower is all about." Great. Have a
Yeah.
look. Have a
Yeah.
dig.
Yeah. So for listeners, if you want to get a lanyard, we urge you to find a member that's near you and visit those locations and to see where they're offering lanyards or pins or wristbands. If you don't find anyone near you, then you can order one online. And so hdsunflower.com/CA is for Canada. And you can go on and you can buy a lanyard and you can get a card and a cover. You can go and choose whatever will really serve how you would like to show off the sunflower and then yeah, make it yours. And we'd love to hear your stories.
I think that's another key component to it is as well is you focused on the individualized. Even that part is very individualized. You see what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not. This is the brand. This is how it is. This is the lanyard. This is all you got. This is all you got. It's just
Yeah.
this. You've really
Yeah.
encapsulated like the colors and everything like that. And oh, if you want it this way, you can have it this way. If you want it that way, you can have. And I think
Yeah.
the choice is another winning component.
Yeah. I have a tagline I use. I was using it a lot in the return to office conversation. Flexibility is inclusivity,
Like
right? And flexibility means you have choice. There's it's implied that there is options and some movement and it's not rigid. So yeah, it's built
I
in.
think that's awesome. I think that's yeah. Now we're gonna hear that. And it's gonna get coins. Do you know?
I
And
put it
you
on a
get to say
t-shirt.
that was me. That was
I have
me. That was
yeah.
my
I
phrase.
I created t-shirts actually. So I have a t-shirts, a whole line of what I call them inclusivities. And I have a
Nice. I
few
like it.
thank you, thank you. On T Public, I have a site and a happy space on the site. And I have a few flexibility is inclusivity, productivity is personal. There's autonomy is for adults. I'm like, geez, why are we treating employees like children? I think people know where they work best.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's really cool. Now, what's your t-shirt sales pick up?
Yeah. There's always hope. I just like to spread the ideas.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. If you're open to it, I'd like to invite you back onto the podcast in maybe a few more months' time and just see where everything is at and just keep a track
Yeah.
of it all.
I'd love to. I'd be happy to chat with you anytime, Tim.
No, likewise. I think we could seriously overrun on time. I think.
No, it's been delightful.
Yeah, no, it has. It's been absolutely awesome. I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm excited about being part of this sunflower scheme and getting it out there and pushing it out. I think the listeners are gonna enjoy it as well.
I hope so. Let's hear. I don't know about you, but when I podcast, I am so delighted to hear from listeners because you do this, you put it out in the world, you're like, hello, and it's
And
so fantastic to get feedback. So yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
it is really yeah. that element to it is really good, and I don't think people understand or realize when it comes to doing a podcast. You're pumped about doing the episodes and stuff like that. You do the episodes,
And
get
then
them
you're like,
ready.
oh,
Yeah, you literally go off you go, and
yeah.
then it's just
Yeah,
silence.
it's so I do some keynote speaking as well, and it's like getting off stage, and you on stage, you've got the whole audience, hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and then you come back to the little room, and it's very quiet. Well, and I always want to have something afterwards to have some more conversation to offer. I'm slowly, but podcasting is okay. Leave the meeting. Oh, I go talk to my cats.
Your brain's still going, still firing.
Yeah, because such good energy. Yeah, I this is the so autistic ADHD, and the ADHD side of me is give me this interaction, give me this feedback. I love it. I'm so here for it. So
And then
thank
the
you for
original topic is no longer standing. You've spun off somewhere else.
and
It's
that's always a risk. The boundaries, I'm like, what are the points? What are the guardrails? How do we say? But that's wait, so autism structure, ADHD, novelty. I'm at war every day, but sometimes the autism saves me. So if like, come on, Claire, come back. Sometimes they one wins over the other and it's tricky. But yeah, that duality is really interesting.
but that is the struggle. That is the struggle of those invisible things.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's the lack of understanding of what that individual is actually seriously going through in their head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
might look
Well,
calm and cool collective, but inside they are running about 15,000 marathons all at once.
and the conceptions we have based on media representations of autism over the years. So I met a physician in my building here and I talked about autism and he said, he looked at me really puzzled. You're autistic? A physician. So to your point of not knowing, there's a lot to unpack and understand. And we were talking before we started, my autism diagnosis came 2 years ago as a result of talking to my friend Melanie Diesel, who's late diagnosed autistic on my podcast because I wanted to understand autism. I'm like in this conversation around designing neuro inclusion, and I want to understand more about autism. So we have this fabulous conversation, I think episode 45. And I had my video editor, because I do it in video and audio, put in all the light bulbs as they went off over my head. I was like, damn. It was because I look people in the eye and I'm extroverted. People don't associate that as a possibility in autism.
No,
But if you've got ADHD, you got the I need to meet people energy along with the I need to recover from all of this now piece, right?
it's that typical ADHD trap, though, isn't it? It's that I've got to get out there and meet everyone and absorb as much of that
Yeah.
information as I can at record lightning speed, knowing full well that you are going to hit your max real quick and you
Yeah.
need that time to step back and process.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll get you back. You can come back on at any time and we'll discuss this even further.
Love it. Love it. Thanks so much, Tim. What a
Thank
delight
you,
talking
Claire.
with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. That's a wrap on today's episode of Paws on Point. A huge thank you to everyone involved in today's episode. These conversations mean everything to this community. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with one person who needs to hear it. That's how we grow, and that's how we create change. And if you want to support the mission behind the podcast, head to pausabilityservicedogs.ca. Every single dollar goes directly to funding a life-changing service dog partnership for someone who needs it most. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, hit that like button and share. Thank you.